Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Right Man in the Wrong Place. My name is Luke Tatum, and I react to music. Today, we're going to be checking out the song Dirty Money by Tom MacDonald. This is a paid donation request by Stephen Ellis. Stephen, thank you very, very much for supporting the channel, helping us get off the ground here, and all those good things. Really appreciate you turning me on to Tom MacDonald. This has been a lot of fun doing his videos, his songs, and I know I've only just barely scratched the surface. So excited to check this one out. He made a double request, so you'll see that on screen here. But he's made kind of a double request. Not only to do a reaction to this song, but he knows about my other business, which I am in the world of finance and encourage people to take control of their own money. And so he has requested that this also be a giveaway. And reading up on YouTube's rules on giveaways, I can't require you to like the video. I can't require you to subscribe. I can't require you to leave a comment. There's a lot of issues with giveaways on YouTube. I've been putting this off until I could get everything logistically kind of sorted out. So here's what we're going to do. If you would like to enter for a chance to win a signed copy of my book, Between the Lies, How to Reclaim Your Future from the Banks and Wall Street. Of course, you can buy a copy. It's going to be in the description box below. But if you would like to win a signed copy that I will mail to you, then here's how that will work. Please follow me on X and send me a message letting me know that you'd like to be entered in the contest. I'll follow you back. And once 1 week has passed after this video is launched, I am launching this video on the 16th of January, 2024. So on the 23rd of January, entries will be closed, and then I will draw 3 people. I'll compile everything, and I'll draw 3 winners for a signed copy. I'll mail it to you. You must be in the United States in order to win. Fair enough? Fair enough. Okay. Let's get into the song. And I know that Stephen chose this song because it has something to do with money. It's in the title. I don't know what's in the song. I haven't heard it yet. We're going to go on that adventure together. Here is my Twitter page, at Luke H. Tatum. That's me. I'll link it in the description too. Let's get into the song.
They're angry that they'll never shut me up. I'm making more noise. Turn me up or turn me down, it's your choice. Black lives only matter when they got a corpse to exploit. Cause the media made millions off the protests for George Floyd. That's called ad revenue. They make cash selling you all the crap in the ads while they broadcast news. Ooh, the network full of liars got investment capital and segments sponsored by Pfizer. And the freedom fighters, I feel like the left just plants them to infiltrate the right. It's extended.
I'm gonna have to back it up. There's several things I want to say here. I really like the way that this is directed so far. I like the shot of the White House kind of buried in all this money, or at least, you know, maybe not buried, but at least partially buried. It's becoming buried in dirty money and scandals, that kind of thing. I've got the lyrics pulled up because I'm very bad. If you subscribe to the channel, you know. I'm just real bad at hearing lyrics the first time, so I do have them pulled up. There's, you know, of course, we're switching topics quite often, right? So the Black Lives Only Matter when you've got a corpse to exploit because the media made millions off the protests for George Floyd, et cetera, et cetera. That's, you know, a fundamental issue, whether we're talking about BLM or we're talking about anything. A fundamental issue is that negativity sells and that the media is chasing ratings. And, you know, whether or not you believe there ever was a golden age of, you know, our good old days where journalists really sought the truth and money didn't enter into the equation or whatever, I think you could certainly argue that it's gotten worse in recent decades. And to the point that we're even shown and presented with topics that are not even true just for the sake of ad revenue. And so the news, I said this on a different video, I think it was a Tom MacDonald reaction, but you know, I'm very fond of the statement by Lou Rockwell, that the media is the fourth branch of the government in the modern world. And I absolutely believe that. And that's part of the problem, right? You can't just go, oh, it's the truth. I'm going to learn what's going on in the world by watching the news. You can't do that. I mean, I'm not calling out specific media outlets because it doesn't matter which one I pick. The big mainstream media outlets, they're all involved in parroting talking points from the White House, parroting talking points from other sources. I mean, if you look at what the number one thing that ex-CIA do after they leave the intelligence community, where do they go? They go into the media. That's a point I actually make in my book. It's not a big point. It's not something that's got an entire chapter devoted to it. But there's a lot of people, names and they are ex-CIA, and you see them on the news all the time. Part of the job of the CIA is to control public opinion. That is a stated goal. You can find interviews where they've talked about that. I'm not going to just bombard you with links and stuff here, but it's out there. I'm happy to talk about this. So that's certainly a problem, whether it's George Floyd or not, right? It's a big, big issue. Now, as we go in, and again, I'll have to back this up and re-listen to it because it's a lot to take in. It's one of the fun things about rap, right? There's a lot of content to talk about. The next thing here, got investment capital and segments sponsored by Pfizer. I think that's kind of where we are in the song. This song, I forgot to say up front, came out in 2022. It was definitely post-pandemic or, post-beginning of the pandemic. And I'm using pandemic to be a nice, safe term here. I'm going a whole tangent. There is a chapter about 2020 in my book also. But not just Pfizer, but all the big pharma companies. I mean, you want to talk about a rabbit hole. You want to talk about something we could just sit here and extrapolate and analyze for hours. Big pharma, kind of the direction that it's headed over the last 40 years especially, but really for a very long time, that's a huge disaster. That is a huge disaster. Okay, let's back it up. I'm going to get way far afield if I just let myself talk. But the directing of this video, the showing of his Tom's face on the dollar bill, all these different things, very, very classy, very well done, very in your face, which I like, and I appreciate that from him.
Protest for George Floyd, that's called ad revenue. They make cash selling you all the crap in the ads while they broadcast news. Ooh, the network full of liars got investment capital and segments sponsored by Pfizer. And the freedom fighters, I feel like the left just plants them to infiltrate the right. It's extensive planning, then it happens overnight. It's impressive branding, make $1 million off of shirts that say let's go Brandon. It's a cash grab, everyone's a lab rat. Amazon made billions of dollars from sanitizer and black masks, and that's that. Funny how the terrorists who attack always come from places that are oil rich and have gas. Democrats, they don't give.
Okay, a lot there too. This is so fun. I mean, Tom MacDonald videos so fun because there's so much to talk about. And these are the kind of things like I'm notorious for talking for hours and hours. This will not be an hour-long reaction. I'm not going to do that to you, but in person, like when I go to events, freedom-minded events, camp out type things, I go meet people, which is something I really like to do. I am just notorious for this. I'll get into a conversation with a like-minded person, I'll find somebody I really resonate with, and we'll just go at it for hours and hours and hours. I've lost my voice doing that a few times. It's just, I get really impassioned about this stuff. I know I'm a soft-spoken guy, but, it's intense from my perspective, right? Okay. So let's catch up here. The freedom fighters, I feel like the left just plants them to infiltrate the right. It's extensive planning. Then it happens overnight. It's impressive Brandon, making $1 million off of shirts that say, let's go Brandon. So freedom fighters, That's an interesting term here. A lot of times I feel like the intelligence community, to go back to that, are generating support for freedom fighters in other countries. Kind of interesting to see that use here because it seems to be a domestic conversation at this point in the song because it's talking about the left infiltrating the right. Now, generally speaking, I'm one of those that rejects the left versus right paradigm, right? It's the state versus you. It's, do you want to dictate to other human beings what they are and aren't allowed to do or not? That's not right or left in modern America, right? The left and the right just want to take different freedoms away from you and want to spend your money that they've stolen on different things. That's the kind of contemporary world that we exist in at this point. Now, so freedom fighters, I don't know. I don't see freedom fighters being planted into the right. I do see manipulation of populist movements, and that's left and right, right? The BLM, since that's already been mentioned here, definitely 100% manipulated by outside forces. Absolutely. The right, I mean, gosh, like I supported Ron Paul, and the last politician I really showed support for in any sort of strong way. Whenever he was trying to run for office, run for president of the United States in 2012 and 2008, before that as well, whenever he was running, you had this sort of Tea Party thing going on. And I mean, this happens with any political movement. I've been on record saying this for years and years, but okay, you've got the Republicans and the Democrats right now. If just imagine that the Libertarian Party or libertarian ideology were to take hold and become a dominant force in American politics, enough people latched onto the term libertarian that it was gaining traction. It was, a serious contender for a major nationwide office like president, right? If that were to happen, what would happen as a necessary effect of that? The power base from the Republican Party or the Democratic Party would shift. And we did see this. So when Ron Paul was popular, when he actually had a reasonably strong level of support in 2011, 2012, what happened? You had people like Mitt Romney, who is not a libertarian, coming out and saying, I've been a libertarian all my life. I'd be happy to join and support the Libertarian Party. You had characters like Bill Weld, and you had all these people kind of emerging, okay, around that time. And it's like, but that's not what libertarianism is. Mitt Romney does not belong in any libertarian organization. He's not a libertarian by like any stretch. Okay. Maybe that's a separate video, but power. I'm a huge fan of Frank Herbert. I think Frank Herbert is one of the few novelists that really understood the nature of power, the nature of government, and that sort of things. He makes a point in the Dune novels and a few spots that it's not that power corrupts, it's that power is attractive to the corruptible. And so those people will go wherever the power is, right? It's not, I mean, I know I'm getting far afield of the point in the song here, but it's not that, conservatives are the victims and the left is the one doing all the manipulating. Like, yeah, they're bad, but the Republicans, when they're in power, I mean, they take advantage of stuff left and right too. Did we all not remember what happened when George W. Bush was in office? Do we all not remember all the things that were done to drum up support for the war in Iraq? I mean, there's a band named after a government agency. It's called OSI, the Office of Strategic Influence. The Office of Strategic Influence was, for a short period of time, a real government office, a real government agency. And the purpose of OSI was to control public opinion, to generate support for this war. That's what it was for. I mean, Republicans were in office then, okay? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't really like this, like latching onto the left and the right. They're all bad and they're all getting worse. That's how I see the situation. All right. Now, trying to get back to the lyrics, making million off of shirts that say "Let's go, Brandon." Totally, absolutely. I'm from a town, a small Texas town that got very famous at one point for having allegedly alien sightings. I don't know if that is a thing or not, and may have heard of it, but lots of people made a lot of money selling T-shirts, right? And so you can do that with anything, and more power to you. I'm not buying them, but people do. It's just whatever the flavor of the month is, whatever the most popular thing at the time is. If you got a way to make a profit on something like that, more power to you. I got no problem with that. But it is funny, right? The "Let's go, Brandon" thing. Let's get back into the lyrics. It's going to take a long time to get through this little 3.5-minute song.
It's impressive, Brandon. Make a million off of shirts that say "Let's go, Brandon." It's a cash grab. Everyone's a lab rat. Amazon made billions of dollars from sanitizer and black mass, and that's that. Funny how the terrorists who attack always come from places that are oil rich and have gas. Democrats, they don't give a damn. What is this about? Our military trapped.
That's true. Okay, I forgot to go into this section. So Amazon, absolutely. Huge corporations that were already entrenched, that already knew what was coming, probably got an early tip on the situation when we entered into, say, March of 2020. I mean, I have a friend who knows and has worked with like major CEOs and I'm not going to name company names here. I'm trying to be very, very vague, but Southern Missouri, Northern Arkansas, like the Ozark area. It's very remote. There's not very many people out here. I live in Northern Arkansas, but not in an ultra rich area by any means. Around the lakes and things like that, you actually had major corporations sending some of their key personnel out to these really nice estates and things on lakefront property to kind of chill and cool off and avoid some of the aftermath of the outbreak of the pandemic and all that. And they already knew they were going to lock things down. Okay, that's the point I'm making there. It's not that we all get equal treatment on these kind of things, right? It was something done to the public. It was not done to those people. They were given nice, cushy places to let it all blow over. So Amazon for sure, Walmart for sure, huge companies made a lot of money. Zoom made a lot of money. And I don't begrudge anyone making money, but I do begrudge the government choosing winners and losers and setting up situations like this to create those kind of windfalls for those companies. In 2020, and again, this is something that's in my book. Stephen, you did an awesome job picking a song for me to do a book giveaway because so much of stuff is in there. But, my chapter about 2020, I talk about the impacts of all that. And, that's going to leave a bad taste in my mouth forever. Let's talk now about the terrorists. So yes, the terrorists come from places that are oil rich and have gas, to use the lyrics here. You also have to think about things like poppy seeds, and all of that. And so why is that? Right? I mean, a lot of places have had their eyes on Iraq for a long time. Iran, especially, for a long time. Why? Well, if y'all don't know who Scott Horton is, the expert on foreign policy, you want to listen to one person. I'm not saying you should only listen to one person, but if you want to pick one person to look into to get a good idea on what's going on in the world, Scott Horton. I am telling you, the guy knows more about foreign policy than whoever else you're listening to. I just guarantee it. He's got multiple amazing books out there. enough already, time to end the war in Afghanistan. I don't have his stuff pulled up, but I'll find links and put it in there. But amazing, amazing work from him for years and years and years. He does antiwar.com. He's done thousands of interviews. He knows his stuff. And yeah, it's not just that, oh, they happen to be from these oil-rich companies. I mean, excuse me, oil-rich countries. It's just not it. And geopolitics is a nasty game. Politics is a nasty game. It's not something where you or I win, no matter who gets in office. And certainly, I mean, it's a tragedy. It's a huge, huge catastrophe for the people in the Middle East and in all these places that the United States and other countries are meddling in. All right. And so it looks like we're getting into the Middle East next.
In the Middle East, can't get them out. Heroes are the ones who had the Constitution written down. Y'all are using hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cents, 4. We get less and they get more. By insult since we were born. They want money. We want dirty dollars. Fill their pockets while our coffins fill.
Wow. Okay. This kind of gives me like a KMFDM vibe. If y'all don't know them, I should probably do a video or two of theirs. They are crazy. I really, really like that band. But, okay. Our military trapped in the Middle East, can't get them out. Heroes are the ones who have the Constitution written down. Y'all are using hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay. A lot to unpack just in those lines. The Middle East situation, I think I'm just going to leave it at Scott Horton. Please read his books. Please check out his interviews. He's just absolutely incredible. It's a whole separate video to try to break down geopolitics over the last 50 years in the Middle East. But, you know, I'm not a constitutionalist, okay? This idea that the people who are, you know, just want the government to get back to the Constitution. Like, don't get me wrong. If the government did exactly what was prescribed in the Constitution, first of all, that would mean that well over 99% of everything that the federal government does would not be done now. And I'm fine with that. That's a huge step in the right direction. But I'm not a constitutionalist. That's not what I would agitate for myself. I'm as libertarian as it gets, okay? I don't believe that the Constitution is a legitimate authority in my life, the lives of my family members, you know, etc. Okay, what do you replace it with? Okay, that's a different conversation. I'm just doing a song reaction right now. But, you know, that's not where I'm at, okay? If you've ever heard of Lysander Spooner, or if you haven't heard of Lysander Spooner, that's another great one. He has a paper called No Treason, the Constitution of No Authority. He was an abolitionist for slavery back when it was unpopular to be an abolitionist. So pre-Civil War, really cool character. He started a competitor to the U.S. Postal Service back in the day, and they shut him down. He's like, where in the Constitution does it say that the government is going to deliver the mail? So he started a company to do it, and he was doing it way better than the Postal Service, so they shut him down. They don't like competition. Government hates competition. Which is really funny when you talk about antitrust laws and things. Side tangent. Okay. So, you know, Constitution, fine. Fine. It's an improvement, but it's not, this is not a metric for judging who heroes are. I'm sorry. Y'all are using hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse, like... Okay, I'm just going to take that as what it is, which is funny. I got nothing else to say there. That's a whole can of worms all on its own. Let's do the pre-chorus bit here. I've got the lyrics pulled up on Genius.
Hero while describing Kyle Rittenhouse. 1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cents, 4. We get less and they get more. By insult since we were born. They want money. We want dirty dollars. Fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. me for this song. It's all
All right, chorus. We are not even halfway through this song. Wow. All right. We get less and they get more. This pre-chorus line, you know, this idea that the money is worth less over time, bought and sold since we were born, right? The government has a very perverse way of thinking about the population. It's, you know, what is the expected lifetime tax contribution of the individual? It's not a human being with hopes and dreams and desires and entrepreneurial potential. It's, okay, what's the average, you know, tax base for this class of people in this area? Multiply that by the number of people in the area. Oh, okay, this area is worth this much money. That's the kind of completely anti-human decision-making that is done on a daily basis at the federal government level, and yes, even at the state government level. And it's just from that kind of foundation, how can you be surprised that the world, the United States, is as messed up as it is? You know, taxation is theft. It just is. No amount of gymnastics is going to make it not theft. Okay. The chorus here, dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. Yes, 100%. These engagements abroad, these decisions that are made from this absolutely callous position of, you know, what's the economic value of an individual life to the government? Like, what's the potential revenue to the government? That's, I mean, it's just horrible. And, you know, meanwhile, they're doing deals to enrich themselves. You know, you've got people with just astronomical net worth that are in Congress, and their salaries aren't anywhere near that big. You know, they're doing speaking gigs for $300,000 a pop, that kind of thing. I know you've seen the stories on things like that. I don't really have to go through and provide a timeline, but, you know, the laws that are passed by the federal government are laws for them. Excuse me, it's laws for you. It's not for them. It's you know, you can break the law and go to prison. They can break the law and get a slap on the wrist, if they're caught, right? And so, yeah, of course, the incentive is there to do things that other people can't do. You can easily break the rules. You know you won't be punished for it. Yeah, of course you're going to do insider trading. Of course you're going to set up multiple layers of nonprofits and things to kind of funnel money around and you know, get some extra rate of return where you really shouldn't be able to. And hey, it's not like the IRS is going to audit you anyway, right? Those kind of things. It's just horrible. And then, yeah, okay, let's go invade this country for American interests. And people end up dead from that. And it's not just that soldiers die in combat, because the U.S., you know, especially recently, has become more mechanized, more reliant on drones and, you know, unmanned ways of taking out targets, that kind of thing. It's not just that, though. It's the complete moral evil of the conflicts the United States is getting involved in that leads to, you know, higher than ever veteran suicides and those kind of things, right? There is a death toll, even when it's not from combat. And to try to insulate us from those kind of things, we call it collateral damage, right? When civilians are accidentally killed, we don't call it murder, we call it collateral damage. There's a special name for everything that the government does, right? You don't call it stealing, you call it taxation. Yeah, there's a little nicer sounding version of every moral atrocity that's committed. It's horrible. I really like the little cha-ching bit in the chorus. It was pretty funny. Okay. someday we're going to finish this song.
Dirty money. I don't want your dirty for this song, it's all classified intelligence. Don't need to go to war to secretly be getting benefits. When Russia launches rockets, we condemn them, but there's evidence a US politician owns the screws they're assembled with. Ain't no war on drugs, it's economic. You make money off an inmate, every jail cell is profit. Our prisons are privately owned, illegal marijuana just mean kids smoking weed turn to dollars in their pockets.
I do have to say, there ain't no war on drugs, it's economic. Yes, absolutely. If you have never read the book, and this is just a string of book recommendations and stuff, but if you've never read the book, oh my gosh, what is it called? Dark Alliance. If you've never read the book Dark Alliance by Gary Webb, it's a must read. You'll never be able to look at government action the same way. And Gary Webb was a journalist, right? Like in the good sense of the word, he was a journalist. That thing is as documented as any book I've ever read on anything. It's from primary sources. I mean, it's an amazing, amazing look at the rise of drug use, specifically cocaine, in the United States. And you can look at what happened to Gary Webb after that book was published. And you know, we often talk about a global economy. There's a lot of talk about a global economy, and you know, not going to completely tackle that topic right now. But yes, when Russia launches rockets, we condemn them, but there's evidence a US politician owns the screws they're assembled with, right? You see that kind of stuff happening all the time. It's, I'm positive, way more rampant than just what we know about, because of all these shell companies and, you know, layers to try to obfuscate what's really going on. It's you know, disturbing. Like, one of the many reasons that I don't do anything in the stock market anymore is that I don't want to try to participate in these kinds of things, right? I don't want to buy stock in Boeing, and I don't want to buy stock in Lockheed Martin and companies like that. So you know, it's not that I'm giving money to Lockheed Martin unless it's a new stock issue. I know that I'm buying the stock from someone else who sold the stock. I understand that. I have to correct people on that all the time. But I don't want to participate in like the profiteering on war and those kinds of things in any way, which is very difficult whenever your taxes go to that kind of thing. Okay.
With. Ain't no war on drugs, it's economic. You make money off an inmate, every jail cell is profit. Our prisons are privately owned, illegal marijuana just mean kids smoking weed turn to dollars in their pockets, let's be honest. Domestic threats in comparison to nuclear powers who hate the West is embarrassing. Still we label truckers in the convoy as terrorists and confiscate donations, we have no idea where it is. A pipeline leaks, price of gas goes higher, stock market crash, everybody gets fired. Economy is weak while we trying to beat a virus. $1 trillion in debt to China. We celebrate the smallest battles we're winning, so they can publish the headline that's gonna fuel division. But if we champion the crumbs, then it's crumbs that we're given, and we don't make any progress, we're stuck at the beginning.
1 cent, 2 cent, 3 cents, 4. We get less and they get more. By insult since we were born. They want money. We want dirty dollars fill their pockets while our coffins fill the ground. They make profits, solving problems they create to keep us down. Dirty money. Dirty money. I don't want your dirty money. Money, 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 money.
Not enough soap to scrub, it's soaked in blood.
It's all about the money, 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 money.
Every time we make a buck, they take from us.
It's all about the money, 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 money.
The dollar runs our lives until we die.
It's all about the money, 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 money.
It controls your mind, it ain't controlling mine.
Dirty dollars fill their pockets.
Okay, comment on this, and I don't want to get too far, you know, into it because, gosh, I've got a separate YouTube channel where I talk about this all the time. But, you know, one of my goals with our company, Perfect Spiral Capital, is to stop using banks, like use banks in the most minimal way possible. I'm not telling people to just pay cash for everything because that has a whole host of downsides. But, use banks only to the extent that you need to. Banks are, and this is just a true statement, banks are one of the biggest engines that fuels this horrible, cycle that we're all living in. And what I mean by that is inflation. Okay. Inflation is talked about in popular conversation as the cost of things going up. Inflation is not the cost of things going up. Inflation is the amount of dollars going up, which leads to a rise in prices. So they'll call it price inflation, but it's very intentional that this is talked about in a way so that you think it's just a thing that happens. It's just a natural fact of life that prices go up all the time. It's not a natural fact of life. If you looked pre-1913, you could see kind of what happened with prices of things. You could see what a real gold standard did for the economy. And, we can have that conversation, right? But the Federal Reserve is kind of the top of the whole pyramid when it comes to controlling the money supply. They don't directly set interest rates, but they control rates that lead to pressure on interest rate prices, things like mortgage prices and stuff. They're not set directly, but they're pushed one way or the other by the Fed's operations. And all banks in the United States are part of the Federal Reserve system. So there's not a competing outside bank that you can go work with if you don't like this. Credit unions are a little bit better, but they're basically in the same camp. They're only a little better, okay? And so this idea, this bit in the bridge here that we're talking about, the dollar runs our lives until we die, et cetera, et cetera. The dollar is a debt-based system because new money is created not by the Treasury printing more dollars. Like that happens. But the Federal Reserve and the banking system, they can take any amount of money that they have on deposit and create more money on the basis that they have some on reserve. It's called fractional reserve banking. And the amount that they can inflate the currency changes over time. But if you go deposit a certain amount of money, let's say $1,000, they can loan out $900, not your $900. 900 new dollars that didn't exist before because it's all computer based, right? And so because they know that everyone is not going to show up on the same day and request all of their money out of the bank at once, they only keep a very small percentage on reserve, there at the bank. That's what a run on the bank is. Too many people show up. They don't actually have the money. Your bank's not actually keeping the money that you give them for safekeeping. That's not how it works. That is one of the big points of my book, is to go into that in detail and describe what the problem is with the United States dollar, with fractional reserve banking, which is practiced by all developed economies everywhere. And, what this enables, right? Ron Paul, to go back to him, one of his, famous quotes, I'll probably slightly paraphrase here, but, it's no coincidence that the century of total war coincided with the century of central banking. The central bank controls the whole economy, controls the inflation, all these things. It enables money to be created, which enables financing of, projects such as wars. It allows a government to overextend itself far beyond what they could get the public to agree to as far as a tax bill, and finance, tanks and bombers and all these things to go conquer foreign lands. So, the game has not changed. It's just the names and the mechanisms and the specific labels we use has changed over the centuries. This is we're at 40 minutes. Okay, let's go.
While our coffins fill the ground, they make profit solving problems they create to keep us down.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay. A lot there. A lot. It's kind of funny. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but it's kind of funny that in the video there, you had, I just noticed this right at the very end. You had gold bars mixed in with the bands of dollar bills in the scene around the White House. But you got to notice there's not that many gold bars compared to dollar bills, right? Um, it's Fort Knox. Who knows how much gold is in there, right? But it's not enough. So, it's just the kind of thing I have to laugh to stay positive in the face of the absurd levels of evil that are perpetrated in the world. I'm going to keep the rest of this reaction short because I know I've gone so long already. But, um, y'all, like, wow, what a song. That was powerful. Well done. I like the way that it was performed. I like the rhythm, the cadence of the rapping in this. It's good. It's all around. It's very, very good. And of course, the message, it's just, there's a lot there. And I don't 100% agree with everything that he says. And that's probably true of just about anyone on earth, if we're being honest, right? But I agree with enough of it. It brings a lot of good points to the forefront, and it's bringing things up that need to be discussed and ideas that need to be spread and awareness that needs to be spread. If you would like to get an excellent primer on some of these ideas, if you've always thought, man, I kind of know that, the government manipulates money and there's a lot of problems with that, but I don't really know what that's all about. You do not need to read an economics book. I love it if you read an economics book. I love economics books. You'll see them behind me. Got a whole nother bookshelf over there with a lot more. I love econ, but I'm a nerd. You don't have to be a nerd to understand some of these basics. And so one of my goals with this book it was when I wrote it, was to lay out just the bare minimum amount of economic ideas so that anyone can see what the problem is and they can start taking steps towards the solution. So we've got a 5-step framework for getting out from under the thumb of the government with all of these things and for learning financial freedom, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, it's not the be all end all. There's lots of great books you should read, but I think this is a great starting point. That's what I wrote it to be. Check out the reviews on Amazon, check it out. Listen to it on Audible. The audiobook is still brand new, but you've got 1 week. So this video will come out. I'm going to just check my dates again. This video will come out on the 16th of January, 2024. I will close down entries into the giveaway sometime 1 week later. So that would be the 23rd of January, 2024. I will select 3 people and I will personally sign this book for you, these books for you. I will mail these to you. You must be in the United States. If I pull a winner that is not in the United States, then I'm just going to go to the next person on the list. Sorry. Again, the only requirement to win is to go to my Twitter page and follow me on Twitter. Send me a message. Tell me that you'd like to enter the contest. I can't require you to like the video. Please like the video. I can't require you to subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to the channel. I love all that stuff, but it's not a requirement to win. Thank you all so much for choosing to spend so much of your time with me. It's a horribly long video, but really looking forward to the conversations we can have in the comments. I appreciate y'all, every video that you check out. Until next time, the right man in the wrong place can make all the difference in the world.